This is how you hunt mushrooms in Utah. You gotta get his beer, dude! Help him with his beer! Finest example of teamwork I think I've ever seen. Some hardcore outdoor mountaineering Utah mushroom hunting fun.
There's your beer.
So we crossed the river into areas that other people could not get to, and we were rewarded with these absolutely giant, where's my finger, morels. They're all over the place. Absolutely beautiful specimens. We just got here. We know that there are lots more all around us. And look at how big this guy is right here. There's my thumb for scale. We are probably 200 meters from the river, but they're everywhere. All right, so we have crossed the river. We are here in Payson, Utah, and we have crossed the river because this spot is not accessible to anybody. We used an extension ladder to do it. And this place is absolutely ripe. We pulled about 5 pounds out yesterday. Having exclusive access probably helped quite a bit. I run into mushroom hunters up here pretty frequently, like literally every time we come up. And they know what we're doing, and we know what they're doing. I am currently on an east-facing slope about 400 or 500 meters away from the closest source of water, which is a river. And if you look closely, there are morels all over the place. Here's a cluster of at least 2. There's some other little ones. But you can find them very far away from water. Here's a really big one. So this is the kind of terrain where I am finding most of my morels. Lots of different conifers. There is a river right there through the tree line. And my slope is between 30 and 50. There is vegetation on the ground. Not a lot of actual flowers. Oh wow, look, I just found a morel. A few right here, right now. In this video. Not staged at all. Wow. Here's his friend. And I'm sure there's more. Woo! Here's a technique that I've been testing out where when I find a really small morel, I actually bury it under some debris and bark. But this one was just off the side of the trail. I think somebody stepped on the piece of bark and squished it. This guy, it worked a lot better. He got a little bit bigger from last time I saw him. Still not as big as I'd like him to be. But he's on the side of the trail, so I think I'm gonna take him today. A really good way to just easily hide your morels, come back later, let them grow bigger. Don't eat little small morels, it's not worth it. Here I have morel specimens that were collected last weekend. Here's the date. There were multiple sites. I like to keep everything nice and organized. I'll be using this black velvet cloth and a DSLR Canon today to take pictures. The cloth absorbs light, creating wonderful contrast. Here's some of my dissection tools. I'll be scraping off spores and mounting them to create a preserved slide. And I will store those slides with the dissected and preserved specimens, which are going into a freeze dryer. Some will be used for heavy metal bioaccumulation research, and others will be sent off for molecular genetic analysis. To make a prepared slide, we're going to take our specimen. I like to start off with documenting the weight and height, which I do with my camera. I also like to notate the site information. It helps when working with lots of specimens so that you don't lose track. Then I just take a razor blade, you can also use a scalpel, and you very carefully move along the edge and scrape off very thin little strips. From there, you may want to dissect it further and just chop it up a little bit. Then I'm going to take some distilled water. You can use nanopure water or reverse osmosis as well. Just give it a drop or two. We don't need very much. Okay. Going to put my cover slip on. I used more than one. That's never happened before. Alright, and this part isn't perfect, but you're just going to smudge it around, push it in, and rotate in a clockwise circle and then a counterclockwise circle. Once it's smashed down, try to clean off the outside. You can use a Kim wipe or whatever. Sometimes, if there's a little bubble, I like to just fill it in with my pipette. Then we can take clear nail polish. I bought this jar for $1 from Walmart. Lady gave me a pretty weird look. Wipe along the edges so you don't have too much. And there, it's sealed. You may want to push down just a little bit to get some fluids to come out. It's not perfect, but it'll dry. Then we're going to put it onto our microscope, turn it on, and we'll get scoped in. We're also going to mount the DSLR camera to this attachment so that we can take high quality, high resolution images. I don't know if it shows up in the video, but this morel has a pink hue. I dissected it next to this one that doesn't. Let's try the natural sunlight. You can sort of see it. I've never seen this before. It's a definite pink hue throughout the interior flesh. Lucky for me, someone left all of these amazing morel stems in the mountains. I threw a couple of regular morels in here too. But total, I got about 2 solid pounds of just stems. So thank you, whoever selfishly harvested all of the mushroom caps, the tops, and left these stems for me. You're so nice. Alright, back in the fire. Okay, so our morel mushroom stumps are pretty finished here. You can see a bunch of good stumps. Threw in a couple of regular morels with them. Huge meal. I'm going to feed my whole family with what someone else left in the mountains. They just came in and cut off all the tops.
and left me all these wonderful stems. Thank you so much for your selfish wastefulness. Found an Agaricus comprestes. It's the meadow mushroom. It's missing the veil because I rubbed it off cleaning it. Beautiful specimen. So I'm out here in the canyons. I have a lot of people asking me, what canyons should I look in for morels this year? Well, the answer is all of them. It's crazy. I have been exploring all sorts of new sites in all of the canyons in Utah County and more. And I'm finding morels in every single one of them, along with other edible fungi. When I'm out hunting like this, I'm looking for solid white and solid black, because those colors tend to stand out. They contrast against the other colors in this area, and it really helps me to spot things like this, very white. For morels, a lot of them in the hills here around the pines, we're looking for black. Sometimes you can see the white stem, but I find that looking for the conical shape of the cap, or even bumps in the ground pushing up the top layer of sediment, is a really great way to find them as well. I've had other hunters this year tell me that they've actually found them under snow that way. They can drive around and look for bumps in the snow and find morels just from that. They tend to grow out of the sedimentary layer underneath the pine needles, which is really interesting. So far, I haven't found anything in this canyon today, but I know that other people have recently. Might come back up here for a night hike. Sometimes when you're hiking around using headlamps at night, things stick out differently. So I've actually had success hunting morels at nighttime in Utah. All right, that's it. This is a Morchella americana underwater. At one point it wasn't, but the river decided to rise. It has a bit of a mind of its own. The camp host Kevin here guided me so that we could document this specimen. I found a pretty awesome patch of Morchella americana blonde morels here in Utah, near a river, in a very popular and very hiked place. This is the path heavily walked. And just a few feet from the side of the trail, there are morels everywhere. And it looks like there's been a lot of people through here, but they just completely missed all of these beautiful guys. I know a lot of people have been here lately, but they grow in flushes. A lot of these are probably just a couple of days old. And we started digging. We found a decent sized one underneath bark. There's my thumb comparison. There are lots of other jelly cup fungi in the area as well. What did you find?
Right there.
Oh, Freya found more jelly fungi. Here's some of the vegetation in the area that I'm hunting blonde morels today. There are dandelions, foxtails, equisetum, some legume flower plants, rose, cottonwood, pines, different kinds of conifers. And the herbaceous plants on the ground are pretty tall, so you have to look really, really closely. But the morels that we're finding today look like they've only been growing for maybe 3 to 5 days, just about the perfect size. The ones older than that, you can tell they're starting to dehydrate, crisp up, and release their spores, which is good. We leave any of the small ones that we find, and we take the big ones. Found another Morchella americana right next to a river, under a log, growing out of a pile of sticks. Found this Morchella americana literally on the side of a very popular trail. Lots of people walk by here, including morel hunters, and you don't even have to get off the trail to collect it. There are definitely others here as well. How big that guy is. Well, today we found mostly blonde morels, but I did find a couple of scattered black morels. And the blondes seem to grow much more in association with proximity to water. The black morels don't care as much. They'll grow much further away from the actual streams that I hike up and down. Today I only hiked on one side of this stream, but I was pretty successful and found about 40 decently sized blonde morels. A couple of small black ones. I leave those though. Anything under 2 inches, I just try to leave it in the ground because they have not yet developed ascospores. If you look under a microscope, you'll see that I'm right. I've been trying to see how big different morel species get before they start releasing ascospores, and it definitely varies species to species and habitat to habitat. Right now, because I'm looking for black morels, I'm walking along a deer trail, and it's pretty bushwhacky. You can barely even tell that it's a deer trail, but I found lots and lots of morels, black morels specifically, on deer trails. This is also the path less walked. Few people ascend to these kinds of slopes because it's difficult. But if you do, you will be more likely to find morels, especially in areas like where I am today, which is in Utah County, Utah. There's a lot of people that come here, and I know they're searching the lower areas, even though that's kind of ironic. That's where I found all my morels today. Some of them right on the side of the trail. Anyone could have walked by them. I guarantee some of my mushroom hunting friends did. Well, I should probably go back down to the normal trail now. Nature is so amazing. This is my real therapy. It has more healing power than any other substance or activity I've ever tried. Mushroom hunting is just a facade. I come out here for the air, for the rain, for the sound of water. Thank you, nature, for always healing me. All right, last morel video of this trip. So I want to talk about a few things, like some of the techniques that I use when I'm looking around. Typically, I try to fan out, and if I have other people with me, I fan them out. Make sure everybody literally is like 4 to 12 feet away, depending on the terrain. And that way, I think you really increase your chances of success. The other thing is try to take a slightly different path on the way back if that's possible based on your route. Right now it seems like this year in Utah there is some seasonal overlap between the black morels, which appear sooner and can grow farther from the streams in our canyons, and the blonde morels, which are definitely growing a lot closer to the streams. So this forest was burnt a few years ago, and as you can see, there's some new tree growth and lots of green foliage. Makes it obviously really hard to see the morels, but they are here. We found Morchella americana today and yesterday in different locations. I really look for this heavily pine needle ground cover because they seem to grow through it. It's a high carbon source. Even if they're not directly associated to the burns, it's bioavailable, increasing the likelihood for population distribution and density. I love this area because it's right on the side of the river, and I can go up and down these slopes, which are about 70 to 80 degrees in some points. And I found morels like 500 to 1500 meters away from the river. The cool thing about this canyon is it kind of just keeps going. It's absolutely huge. I've been exploring it for years, like 6 years thoroughly. I try to go during the springtime and into the summer as long as the morel season lasts, 2 or 3 days a week the whole season. We have varying levels of success. There are some areas that are absolutely ripe one year, and then the next year you get nothing. It could also be because there are definitely other people here hunting this area, and I find stumps, I find evidence of it. I like to bury my stumps, not just to hide the fact that there were morels growing there from other people so they don't come and snatch them later, but I think it's nice to try to hold the moisture in. And then when I trim off the bottom of the morel, the dirt, anything that comes off, I try to bury it in the hopes that it will grow and spread as well. Anyways, that's my little ritual for morel collection. Sometimes I find the blondes just growing right on the side of the river, and we found one that was actually in the water this year because of the rising snow melt. But this area, I'm not having luck today. That's okay. You don't find morels everywhere. That would just be nice, wouldn't it? So I like to cover a lot of ground thoroughly. Oh, look at this. Oh, my finger. Look at this garbage. Jerks. We're gonna take that out of here. Yeah, I try to clean up wherever I go. It makes me sad that people don't take care of something that they enjoy so much. And we're the only ones who really can take care of it. So do your part, and maybe someone else's part too. Thanks for watching, everybody.